Back again, and this time is Fantasy Focus Game Week 17. Today we're diving into who's most likely to deliver in front of goal, the transfers everyone's making, where the clean sheets might come from, and of course, who's going to wear the armband this week. So let's get straight into it. First we're going to talk about goal involvements. Yeah, and Haaland is back at the top of the list for Game Week 17, and it's fairly clear why. He's sitting at 80% chance of scoring or assisting at home to West Ham, which of course is going to be the highest of any player this week. Those 2 goals away at Palace came at a great time, not just from an FPL point of view, but in terms of my confidence in activating the triple captain. This is the fixture I've actually been targeting, and I've gone ahead and activated it. I managed to avoid the blank against Leeds, thankfully, so given the fact he scored 2 goals away at Palace at Selhurst Park, this feels like the perfect moment to take that risk. When you look at West Ham defensively, they're conceding around 1.7 expected goals conceded per 90 away from home, and under Nuno, there hasn't been a real noticeable improvement defensively yet. They still give up chances. They conceded 3 to Villa at home in Game Week 16, and against City at the Etihad, that's what you're looking for before activating this chip. Next up are Foden and Cherki, both sitting in the 60 to 63% range for returns this weekend. All 3 City attackers played and returned against Palace, which is important from a minutes point of view. City weren't actually that dominant in the game. They only produced 1.19 expected goals, but what stood out for me was how clinical they were. They scored twice from 2 big chances, and Foden's goal really came out of nothing. There wasn't really much Henderson could do to stop it. If City perform at a similar level and are that clinical on Saturday, they're more than capable of punishing a poor West Ham side. Bournemouth for the other team that really stand out this week for me. They're at home to Burnley, and Burnley concede over 6 shots on target per away game, which of course puts this fixture on the radar. Semenyo is the standout option here. He's got around 60% chance of returning and finally got back on the score sheet against United after a 7-game goal drought. His underlying numbers have been actually quite solid for a while. He's getting in good positions, he's just not getting the end product. He's been quite unlucky actually in some instances. Cooper Jr. and David Brooks also appear on the list, but I wouldn't consider either of them. Their expected points over the next 5 game weeks are only 9.4 and 8.6. So even with a good fixture this week, they're not worth using a transfer on. Isak and Ekitike are showing up again as they usually do, but I still can't recommend either of them. The issue isn't ability, they're clearly very good players. The problem is predictability. With the constant rotation between the two, for me, you're always guessing who starts, and even when one starts and returns like Ekitike, there's no guarantee they'll keep their place the following week. I couldn't guarantee that Ekitike is going to start this game week despite getting returns last game week. So that kind of uncertainty for me usually ends badly in FPL and ends up in a lot of frustration. So I would advise to avoid it. After Thiago's blank against Leeds, he does now face a Wolves side conceding 1.6 expected goals conceded per 90. Given how highly owned he is, this is one of those fixtures where most managers will be expecting something. I certainly would be. The only concern from Game Week 16 is that he didn't register a single shot on target at home to Leeds. That surely can't happen again. Alright, let's talk transfers in. And Wilson is the most transferred player in this week. And the reason is, pretty straightforward. He's at home to Forest and he's now returned in 4 consecutive game weeks. Over 870,000 managers have brought him in already. And with Iwobi heading off to AFCON, Wilson is going to be expected to carry more of the attacking load for Fulham. And the fixtures help. Like I said, he's got Forest at home, followed by West Ham away. And both games you'd be happy to target. And considering he's 5.5 million, he's a great asset. Ekitike is the second most transferred player in this week, with over 590,000 transfers. Again, I understand the appeal. He shoots often, he does score goals, and he looks comfortable at this level in the Premier League. But like I said, I still can't bring myself to back the move. Isak is a huge investment for the club, over 120 plus million spent on him, and you'd expect Slot to continue giving him the opportunities. If he's not, there's going to be pressure on him to do so. That means Ekitike could start and haul 1 week, and then the very next week he's going to be benched. For me, that's going to lead to frustration, and I just wouldn't want to deal with that. Foden and Bruno Fernandes are next, and at this point for me, they're close to essential. Both are in strong form, and they're actually returning quite regularly now, which of course is exactly what you want. Bruno's upcoming fixtures in particular stand out, with Wolves, Leeds and Burnley coming up soon. I'm now looking at routes to double up on United's attack to take advantage of that run. Chalobah is another player seeing a lot of interest, and yeah, I can see why. He's been transferred in by 225,000 managers at the time of recording. He's actually returned in 11 of 16 fixtures this season, and he's played only 15 of those because against Brighton he got sent off, 2 yellow cards I believe it was, and so therefore he didn't play the following game week. So out of 15 fixtures where he was available and played, he's managed to return in 11 of those 15 fixtures. That could be a goal, an assist or a clean sheet. The next few fixtures are tough, with Newcastle, Villa and City coming up, so I wouldn't rush the move myself, but from game week 21 onwards, he looks like a really strong option for me. He's one I've added to my watch list, so I'm not buying him immediately, but I'm definitely going to look at him in game week 21. Alright, let's look at the transfers out now. And Mbeumo and Munoz are the most transferred out players this week. Mbeumo is heading to AFCON, so he's unavailable for several game weeks. So of course that's a clear transfer out. A straight swap to someone like Cunha, Fernandes or Foden would be my preference. Munoz has been ruled out after knee surgery. Although the club did suggest it would be a few weeks, there's actually growing concern it's going to be longer. Surgeries take a long time to recover from, and reports are suggesting that Palace are actually looking for cover at right wing back in January, which of course doesn't bode well for a quick return for Munoz. So yeah, definitely a transfer out there. And João Pedro and Njai are next. João Pedro continues to be sold. He doesn't shoot enough, and Chelsea's fixtures are turning, as I mentioned, with Chalobah. Njai is also off to the AFCON, so another straightforward transfer out. Mateta has been transferred out by over 215,000 managers. To me, he looks tired, he's lacking confidence, and he's always taken off around the 60th minute mark. So despite a decent fixture in game week 17, he hasn't scored from open play in over 6 game weeks. From an FPL point of view, moving him on now makes sense. Alright, let's quickly look at the clean sheets, and Arsenal top the clean sheets odds this week. They're away to Everton. They're first in the league for expected goals conceded at just 0.6 per game, which of course explains the odds, 44% chance of a clean sheet. That said, their defence is a bit makeshift right now. Gabriel is out, Ben White is injured, and Saliba isn't fully fit. Arteta mentioned in the press conference that they had to rush him back to get him to play in the Wolves game, so it's unlikely for me that he's fully fit, but he's likely to play. But a clean sheet chance of 44% is still decent. It's something that you want to target. I have a double up on the Arsenal defence. It's not the most confident I've been going into a Arsenal game for clean sheets, but they're the top team, expected to keep a clean sheet, and I'm going to stick with that Arsenal double up. City are next at 42%. I would have expected them to be higher than Arsenal, given the fact they're at home to West Ham, but recent defensive performances probably explain it. They did concede twice to Leeds at home, and while their expected goals conceded is still strong at 1.1, they're not completely reliable. I don't own a City defender at the moment, but for me it does feel like a potential miss. O'Reilly is the obvious pick to go for if you're looking for a defender. Obviously there's Donnarumma, but I have Raya. I got him in at 5.5 million, so definitely not going to sell him given the fact that his price has risen so much. So definitely I would be looking at someone like O'Reilly, maybe Nunes if you want to go a bit differential, but O'Reilly at 5.3 million looks to be nailed considering Aït-Nouri's gone to the AFCON. So there's definitely a chance I could potentially move there before the game week deadline. It's just something I've got to think about over the next couple of days. And then for anyone still holding Senesi, there's around a 40% chance of a clean sheet at home to Burnley. Burnley have scored just 18 goals all season, so it's a fixture you can definitely be optimistic about. Alright, let's move on to captaincies. And of course, Haaland is comfortably top this week with 9.5 points predicted. If you still have your triple captain chip, it's hard to argue against using it here. There aren't many fixtures left to use it that look better than this one. And if you're looking for alternatives, Foden and Semenyo are the main options, both predicted just over 6 points. Then you've got O'Reilly and Senesi, who are also projected above 5, but those are just much higher risky options considering their defenders. And that's it for Fantasy Focus Game Week 17. If there are any players that you think I've missed, let me know in the comments. If you missed the Game Week 17 transfer targets video, there'll be a link on the screen at the end. I'll also be posting my team selection and transfers for Game Week 17 in the next few days, so look out for that. As always, green arrows and enjoy the football. Thanks for watching.